Rin rallies everyone and tells the group to stay together. Rin steadies himself and explains that his role has not changed, since he will start by casting enhancement spells on his allies. He quickly raises a magic shield to protect the front line. As the lizard-like monster lunges in, Rin faces it head-on while his allies move into position. Rin stays calm and carefully plans his support, watching for a chance to cast a debuff on the enemy while tracking his allies' buffs and backing them up from the rear. Margaret taunts the lizard monster and calls it toward her, trying to draw its attention away from the others. The monster rushes at her, but she braces with her shield and stops its charge. Seeing the opening, Rin realizes the target is now within range. Rin casts Gravity Bin, slamming the monster down and sharply reducing its mobility so it can no longer fly. Claire immediately follows up by firing magic arrows into the pinned creature. Cain rushes in with a fierce shout and raises his blade for a finishing strike. The strike brings the battle to an end. Margaret excitedly announces that they did it while the others look on in relief. As the party stands over the fallen wyvern, someone explains that a good team works because everyone fulfills their role, and notes that wyverns are no longer much of a challenge for them. Margaret introduces herself as the Beastkin warrior who serves as the party's tank and takes enemy attacks, then proudly says they have set a new slaying record for the Azurit adventurers. Margaret then asks Claire whether she has gotten used to being part of the party. Claire quietly confirms it, and Margaret explains that Claire is the newest member of their group and specializes in magic attacks. Cain replies that he is glad to hear that, while he is introduced as the party's core member, main physical damage dealer, and the knight who also leads them. Cain gently tells Claire to speak up if anything is troubling her, since losing trust in each other could bring the whole team down. The woman in the cap asks whether anyone got hurt, and the others answer that fortunately no one did. Sophia is introduced as the party's essential healer and cleric, standing calmly with her staff. Sophia notices that Margaret is bleeding and gently points out the injury with concern. Margaret insists she is fine and says it is only a scratch, but Sophia firmly asks to see it anyway. Sophia immediately casts healing magic on Margaret's wound. Rin introduces himself as an enchanter who specializes in support magic. He explains that his role is to strengthen allies with buffs and weaken enemies with debuffs, calling it a vital position in any party. Rin admits that support work is not flashy at all. He explains that attackers and healers often cover multiple roles these days, so many parties go without support, and he cannot help feeling left behind in battle. Rin honestly says he's been removed from many parties because of that. Claire brightens and tells Rin that thanks to his buffs, Cain can fight at full strength without holding back. Claire eagerly praises Rin, saying his bind spell had perfect timing and that stopping flying enemies is a nightmare for physical fighters, so he is a crucial part of the party. Rin blushes and awkwardly insists it was not a big deal because he was only doing his part, while quietly feeling moved that they still accepted him. Surrounded by the party's warm approval, Rin feels like he has finally found his place and begins to believe this is the best group he has ever had. As night falls, Rin reflects that one person in the party means far more to him than all the others. Back at the tavern, the group celebrates their guild earnings, while someone jokes that keeping up with Margaret's drinking would take 10 people just to survive. Margaret excitedly suggests grilling some wyvern meat, but Rin suddenly pauses as if he has realized something important. Rin quickly uses a cooking spell that coats the nearby food in flavorful fat, and the meat immediately begins sizzling. The others cheerfully thank him and say the meat can now turn nice and crispy. Rin inwardly admits that he barely understands many support spells or how they help anyone, and says this cooking spell is the only one he has ever used while preparing meat. Cain casually asks where Sophia is, and Claire answers that Sophia said she was going to the temple tonight for prayer. Rin looks toward the door and thinks she truly feels like a saint. Under the full moon by the riverside, Rin arrives at the quiet meeting place and senses someone waiting. Realizing it is Sophia, Rin calls out to her in surprise. Sophia stands in the shallow water and calls Rin's name as she faces him. Sophia apologizes for being late and explains that slipping out was difficult, while Rin calmly tells her it is fine. Sophia worries that she may be making the others suspicious, but Rin reassures her that it should be all right. The two sit together by the water in uneasy silence, sharing a rare private moment alone. Sophia shyly says it has been a while since they were together like this, and Rin agrees that quests rarely give them such a chance. Rin happily realizes that he and Sophia are close, and the thought fills him with joy. Rin reflects on Sophia's gentle nature, seeing her as kind-hearted, admirable, and talented. Rin admits that he still cannot understand why someone as admired and saintly as Sophia would choose to be with him. When Sophia notices his mood and asks what is wrong, Rin reveals that his real worry is the fact that she is with him at all. Rin confesses that he feels inadequate for Sophia, saying he contributes little to the party and, as a commander, falls short of everyone else. Sophia firmly tells him that she knows better than anyone how deeply he cares for his friends and how consistently he has supported the party from the background. Sophia quietly explains that those very qualities are exactly why she chose him. Her words leave Rin stunned, and all he can do is say her name in disbelief. As the moment grows heavier, Sophia hesitantly says she may need to head back soon because staying out too long could make the others suspicious. Rin reflects that hiding their relationship from everyone has not exactly been painful, but it has started to feel increasingly awkward. Sophia softly calls his name and shyly asks whether they can stay together a little longer until sunrise. Rin is thrown into confusion by the request, and as the atmosphere turns deeply awkward, he nervously tries to grasp what she really means. Sophia suddenly steps closer, and Rin freezes in shock as the moment turns intensely awkward. Right after the awkward contact, both of them go stiff with embarrassment by the riverside, stunned by what just happened. Margaret appears nearby, casually noting that the riverside is cool and refreshing, completely unaware of the tension. Rin panics as he spots Margaret approaching, realizing they have nowhere to hide while Sophia also turns toward the danger. Rin urgently grabs Sophia and tells her to hold her breath, startling her with the sudden move. He pulls her with him and leaps into the water in a desperate attempt to avoid being seen. Margaret stops at the riverbank, confused by the sound she heard, and calls out to ask if anyone is there. Hidden underwater, Rin and Sophia stay close together as the situation grows deeply awkward and difficult to endure. Struggling underwater, Rin motions for a moment and tries to think fast while Sophia looks flustered and strained. In desperation, Rin decides to help Sophia endure the situation so they can stay hidden a little longer. Sophia explains that she used a spell to switch atmospheric and aquatic breathing, and Rin realizes it should buy them a little more time underwater. While Margaret sits at the riverbank wondering what she heard, Rin grows uneasy and thinks that even if they have done nothing wrong, hiding like this still feels suspicious. Rin apologizes and tells Sophia to endure it a little longer until Margaret leaves, while Sophia stares back in flustered silence. The spell starts affecting her in an unexpected way. Sophia reaches toward him, and when Rin notices, he hesitates in confusion as her embarrassed expression makes the moment feel even more tense. Sophia suddenly moves closer again, leaving Rin completely frozen as the tension between them becomes impossible to ignore. Margaret notices movement in the water and wonders if it might be a fish, while Rin panics and tries to tell Sophia that this is not the time. Sophia, flushed and unwavering, makes a reckless request that leaves the situation deeply awkward. Rin is stunned as he realizes Sophia truly meant what she said, and her expression confirms she is serious despite the chaos around them. Margaret brightens at the ripples, declares that it looks like a big one, and excitedly says she will bring it down and save it for breakfast tomorrow. Rin internally panics and thinks this has gone too far and feels completely wrong. Sophia looks overwhelmed and admits she is extremely nervous because all of this is unfamiliar to her. Rin panics even harder and realizes the more he loses control, the worse the situation becomes. Trying to stay calm, Rin tells himself to hold on and think through what to do next. Rin suddenly notices something is wrong and realizes the situation has worsened at the worst possible moment. Flustered and shaken, Rin blurts out that it worked and admits he is no longer calm, making the moment even more awkward. Rin hesitantly asks whether Sophia is really all right with this as his anxiety keeps rising. Sophia leans in close with a flushed but steady expression, showing that she has already made up her mind. Rin is horrified by what this means and realizes the situation has become blatantly inappropriate. Sophia admits the interaction feels overwhelming and says the pressure is so intense that she feels like she is panicking. A spear suddenly slams into the water beside them, violently breaking the moment. Margaret stands at the shore with her spear ready, while Rin jolts in shock at how close the strike was. An ancient-looking fish appears in the water, its strange face making the sight even more unsettling. Rin stares at the creature in disbelief and realizes it looks like some ancient fish. The fish suddenly lunges straight at Rin and Sophia, turning the shock into immediate danger. Rin urgently tells Sophia to reverse her breathing, trying to adapt the fish's underwater breathing into normal air breathing. As Ren reasons that reversing the fish's water breathing should let it breathe air, Margaret notices something odd and pauses in confusion. The fish bursts upward toward Margaret, and she reacts with startled confusion as it suddenly comes at her. Margaret watches the fish thrash wildly and wonders why it is suddenly moving around like that. Margaret cheerfully declares that she caught a big one, and says she will show everyone when she gets back. Rin and Sophia pause beneath the trees, and the heavy silence makes the aftermath feel painfully awkward. Sophia looks flustered and unsteady, and Rin quickly asks if she is all right and whether she was hurt. Rin freezes in stunned confusion, then realizes Sophia is just as shaken as he is, leaving him even more unsettled. The narration reflects that, on that day, their relationship crossed a major line. Back with the others, both Rin and Sophia suddenly sneeze, making their condition impossible to hide. The group asks if they caught a cold, and Rin awkwardly brushes it off, saying it is probably because it got cold last night. Another girl studies them closely and bluntly asks if the two of them were together. Rin hurriedly denies it, while the others laugh it off as a joke. Trying to recover, Rin says he just remembered something the innkeeper mentioned earlier that morning. He explains that the Iron Blood mercenaries, known for slaying dragons, were apparently wiped out. The group is stunned, and Margaret blurts out that the Iron Blood mercenaries were an S-rank team, wondering what could have brought them down. Another member cautiously adds that it is still only a rumor for now. The explanation follows that their downfall was apparently caused by a relationship within the party that ended badly. It is further said that they argued in the middle of battle and turned on each other. Ren goes pale as the implication hits him immediately. Margaret struggles to believe it and asks if they really killed one another even though they were comrades in the same party. A companion explains that personal entanglements often create cracks in party relationships, which is why some groups ban them outright or even restrict how parties are formed. Margaret laughs it off and insists that this is not something their own party needs to worry about. Sophia nervously tells herself that everything will be fine as long as they do not get caught, while Rin uneasily agrees. Before the tension can linger, someone calls for the Azure adventurers to move out, and the group prepares to leave. A grim narration declares that only 300 days remain before the party collapses as the group continues forward together. The story recalls that an entire party was destroyed because a relationship ended disastrously, turning the scene into a warning about how conflict can tear a team apart. Rin forces himself to believe that nothing like that could ever happen to their own party, even as his expression betrays his unease. As the monster shrugs off every slash and blow, a flustered companion demands that Rin do something because their attacks are having no effect. Rin steps forward and tells the others to leave it to him as he activates a spell to detect the enemy's weakness. He explains that the spell reveals the enemy's weak point and quickly identifies it at the back of the creature's neck, prompting his ally to move at once. Following Rin's guidance, the swordsman drives his blade into the weak spot and finally lands a decisive hit on the monster. With the opening created, someone calls for the finishing blow as the battered creature reels in place. After the fight, the party rests inside the dungeon ruins, complaining about the gloomy atmosphere and how exhausting it has been to stay there for days. Another member points out that the ancient ruins at least make camping easier, and with the underground lake and magic stone nearby, the group agrees to get proper rest for the night. As the group settles in the ruins, one companion says they have already reached the area and suggests searching for treasure, but another dismisses the idea and insists the place was looted by adventurers long ago, leaving nothing worth finding. Sophia gently announces that the warm soup is ready and invites everyone to help themselves. The others eagerly accept the meal as Sophia hands a serving to Margaret and is asked to make sure Claire gets some as well. Kane thanks Sophia for the food, and Sophia notices his fatigue and points out that he must be tired too. Sophia then turns to Ring directly, holding out a bowl as the air between them grows noticeably awkward. Both Rin and Sophia blush and avoid each other's eyes, making their shared embarrassment impossible to hide. Ren admits to himself that ever since that day, he has become much more aware of Sophia. Trying to address the tension, Rin asks Kane if they can talk for a bit. Kane tells Ren that things have seemed awkward lately between him and Sophia and asks if something happened. Ren immediately denies that anything is wrong, but inwardly panics and wonders if Kane has realized what is going on between him and Sophia. Kane asks Ren directly whether he and Sophia had some kind of fight. Ren awkwardly tells Kane that it is nothing serious, while Kane explains he only brought it up because he noticed something unusual between them. Kane says that as the leader, he feels responsible for supporting the party and wants Ren to tell him if anything is causing trouble. Rin thanks Kane sincerely and admits that Kane is a kind and dependable person. Later that night, Rin lies awake among the ruins, quietly thinking of Sophia while the others sleep nearby. Sophia suddenly appears before him in the quiet night and signals for him to stay silent. As Claire stirs awake, Rin and Sophia nervously ask if they can speak alone for a little while because there is something important they want to discuss. Rin, blushing, asks Sophia if there is somewhere they can go where no one will notice them, and the two slip away through the ruins with a lantern. Sophia spots a door and suggests it might lead to a room, and Rin agrees they should check inside. When they approach, Rin notices something odd underfoot and realizes a large stone slab is blocking part of the floor. They enter a dusty, ruined dining room and notice old leftover food still sitting on the table, suggesting adventurers once used this place. Sophia quietly points out the leftover meal, and Rin realizes the room had likely served as a dining area for past adventurers. Rin says there is no other way in or out, so they should stay here for now and remain cautious. Rin uses arcane key to unlock the door. As the door opens, Rin thinks that only he can unlock it now and wonders what Sophia wanted to discuss with him so privately. Sophia hesitates, then says she wanted to talk about the Iron Blood mercenaries. Sophia worries that if the others discover their relationship, something similar might happen. Rin reassures her firmly that their party would never fall apart over something like that. Rin reveals his scar and says it proves how deep their bond truly runs. Sophia blushes and quietly agrees with him. Rin recalls that this happened before Claire joined the party, when only 4 of them were on the quest, and after wave of enemies kept coming, they finally managed to wipe them all out. He remembers that they somehow completed the quest, but the real trouble came after that, because they were exhausted on the way back and a dangerous monster suddenly attacked them. The surviving monster steadies itself and prepares to strike with its spear. Rin sees Sophia near the wall and realizes she is in immediate danger, which makes him panic and call out to her. Sophia admits that in that moment she moved without hesitation. Rin remembers that if Sophia, their healer, had fallen, the party would never have survived the journey back, and that both Kane and Margaret were also essential to their fighting strength. To keep the damage as low as possible, the monster lunges in with a desperate attack. Rin throws himself forward to protect Sophia, taking the hit himself as he forces her out of danger. Kane and Margaret watch in shock as Rin suddenly rushes in front of Sophia. The monster is immediately cut down, ending the crisis before it can attack again. The party gathers around the wounded Rin in shock, as one of them panics that an enemy somehow survived, and another desperately urges him not to lose consciousness. Sophia, flustered but determined, tells Rin not to worry because she will treat his wound immediately, even while badly hurt. Rin weakly tells Sophia to forget about him and save her mana for the journey back. Sophia refuses to hear that, and insists he stop talking because she is healing him right now. As his breathing grows faint, Rin pleads with Sophia that if they are wiped out, it will all be over, then bitterly remarks that this is the kind of ending a mere support adventurer gets. Lying with Sophia supporting him, Rin drifts into bleak acceptance and feels that even dying there with her beside him would be more mercy than he deserved. Later, Rin wakes in an unfamiliar room and groggily wonders where he is. Sophia rushes to him in visible relief, calls his name, and admits how grateful she is that he survived. Rin recognizes Sophia and immediately questions why she used a healing spell on him when it was such a dangerous risk. Kane and Margaret step in and make it clear that no one in the party would ever abandon a comrade, leaving Sophia quietly emotional at their support. Rin blushes and quietly admits that everyone means a great deal to him. He reflects that after Sophia cared for him so devotedly, their feelings steadily grew until they became a couple. Rin says he owes the others his life and praises the Ozra adventurers as the best party he could have asked for. Sophia says Rin was the one who saved her life, and because of that, everyone made it back safely. As they stand together, Sophia tells Rin that he is an important companion to her and someone she could never replace. Rin awkwardly apologizes for how he acted during the meal and admits he felt a little distant, while noting that even Kane seemed tense as if they were in a fight. Rin feels his composure falter in an unexpected way. Rin nervously brings up what happened in the water and asks if Sophia hated that awkward moment. Sophia gently says no and reveals that being with Rin like that made her truly happy. In the quiet room, Sophia softly calls Rin's name and he answers hers as the tension between them deepens. In the dim, ruined room, Rin and Sophia remain close in a private moment as the atmosphere grows deeply serious. Rin feels his composure falter in an unexpected way. A brief silence follows before Sophia softly calls Rin's name, sounding uncertain and flushed. Startled by her voice and expression, Rin anxiously asks if she is all right. A sudden pounding erupts at the door, and Rin freezes as someone outside calls for Sophia and asks if she is in the room. Kane realizes the door will not open and blurts out in alarm that it is locked. Inside, Rin turns pale and realizes how bad the situation looks, while outside Kane shouts that he will break the door open. Rin panics that the situation is terrible and fears what will happen if someone walks in on them like this, while Sophia remains flustered beside him. Margaret arrives and asks what is wrong, and Kane urgently says he heard Sophia scream from inside and needs help breaking the door down. Margaret snaps into action, demands to know what happened, and immediately offers to handle the door herself. Rin panics as he realizes that even with Margaret's strength, the door may not hold for even a minute. He frantically searches for a solution, then remembers his advanced spells require either a catalyst or a long chant, so he cannot use them right away. As the crashing outside continues, Rin desperately wonders if there is any spell he can use to escape this room and whatever lies beneath it. Looking around the room more carefully, he suddenly suspects this place may be hiding something. Margaret throws all her strength against the door, and the wood begins to crack under the force. Sophia shouts for one more try as the pressure from outside keeps building. Kane, sweating and alarmed, calls out to Sophia as the door finally gives way with a loud crash. The shattered entrance opens into the ruined room, and Margaret and Kane step inside as the old building groans around them. Margaret stares ahead in confusion and blurts out that no one is there. Margaret warns everyone to stay alert because an enemy could be hiding nearby, while Kane reasons that if magic was used to lock the room, it could also have been used to conceal it. Margaret looks around the ruined chamber and realizes it appears to be a dining hall. Kane stares at the empty room in confusion and wonders if he was mistaken, because no one is there. Margaret insists that something must have happened, since Sophia could not have simply vanished. Kane decides the group should search the area immediately. A loud thump echoes from the table, drawing attention to something hidden beneath it. The tabletop suddenly snaps open, dishes scatter, and light spills out from below as the hidden space is revealed. Rin and Sophia are revealed inside the concealed compartment as the opening swings wide above them. Rin lets out a tense breath and quickly checks whether Sophia is all right. Sophia, flustered and shaken, quietly replies that she is. As they climb out, Sophia realizes the hidden compartment was a stone coffin after all. Sophia looks at the remains and realizes with a shudder that the hidden space really was a coffin. Rin studies the chamber and concludes that it is most likely a royal tomb, which means this room is a burial chamber. He reasons that there must originally have been a giant stone table in front of them, and that it was likely used to block the entrance. Rin adds that after the place was looted, adventurers probably set a door over it as a makeshift fix. Sophia praises Rin for the sharp observation, while he awkwardly plays it down and says he was only lucky enough to notice. Sophia hesitantly brings up what happened and asks Rin if there truly is no honest way for them to reveal their relationship. Rin is caught off guard, while Sophia explains that after what happened to the Iron Blood mercenaries, this kind of issue came as a shock. Sophia admits that even if Claire is dependable, she cannot imagine the others reacting the same way if they revealed the truth about the two of them, and she wonders whether their companions would really accept it. Sophia says hiding their relationship like this fills her with guilt, and more than anything she wants everyone to acknowledge it and give them their blessing. Rin gently tells Sophia that he understands, and he decides that they should tell everyone. Sophia says that once they return from this quest, she will try talking to Kane herself, and Rin agrees that if they are careful not to disrupt the party's harmony, everyone should understand. Rin carefully confirms that if things go well, they will finally be able to openly say that they are together. The two share a brief moment of reassurance as their resolve gives them some comfort. A sudden rumble shakes the ruins and abruptly breaks the calm. Kane panics and wonders where Sophia has gone, then pleads that she be safe. Margaret tells Kane to calm down and reminds him that Rin is with Sophia too. As footsteps approach, Kane awkwardly apologizes for his outburst. Rin and Sophia appear looking tense and unsettled, and Rin hesitantly addresses everyone. Kane calls out to Sophia and Rin at once and anxiously asks if they are all right. Rin looks away and awkwardly apologizes for making everyone worry. Sophia blames herself, saying she carelessly left the group on her own and ran into a monster, and that Rin noticed and came after her. Rin listens calmly and realizes that is the story. Kane says he is just glad they are safe, and anxiously asks whether Sophia or Rin were hurt. While Rin downplays it as only a minor opponent, Sophia forces a tense smile and says she is fine. As the party finally makes it outside, Sophia reassures herself that everyone will surely accept them. Rin reports that they gathered a lot of magic stones and safely completed the quest. One companion excitedly suggests they claim the reward and go drinking, while another begs to be allowed to rest for the day instead. Later, Sophia nervously calls out to Kane and says she has something important to discuss, asking if they can speak alone. That night, the scene shifts to a quiet house beneath the moonlight. Inside, Kane opens the door and faces Sophia, silently sensing the seriousness of the private meeting. Sophia apologizes for bringing this up while he is tired and says she has something important to discuss, while Rin braces himself and assumes she is finally about to reveal their relationship. Kane interrupts and says he also has something he wants to tell Sophia. Kane faces Sophia and sincerely thanks her for everything she has done. He says it is not only about now, but also about the time they have spent together through so many adventures. Kane recalls wanting to properly thank Sophia as her leader, then corrects himself as his feelings turn more personal. Sophia is caught off guard when Kane, embarrassed, says he means it personally. In a solemn, church-like memory, a woman kneels before a statue and says that because of Rin, she can now speak her true feeling. She confesses before the earth goddess Diana that while serving as a priest, she gave in to personal feelings she should not have had. She says she has no regrets, because she and the man she loved truly cared for each other. Back in the present, Kane hesitates and awkwardly tries to put his feelings into words. Kane blushes and admits that he likes Sophia, then goes even further and says it would not be an exaggeration to call it love. Sophia freezes in confusion, able only to react with stunned disbelief as Kane stands before her. Kane quickly clarifies that his feelings are completely one-sided and says Sophia likely never noticed, so she should not misunderstand. The moment becomes overwhelming and emotionally difficult for both of them. In Kane's eyes, Sophia seemed pure and distant. Kane says that as he kept going on adventures with Sophia, his feelings only grew stronger, but because he was the leader and had to think about the whole party, he could never confess. He adds that more than anything, he lacked the confidence to believe his immature self could make Sophia happy. Sophia quietly urges him onward, saying that if that day ever comes, then he should face it. Encouraged, Kane smiles and says he intends to honestly convey those feelings to Sophia someday. Sophia is left speechless, her face going pale as the weight of Kane's confession finally crashes down on her. Kane awkwardly apologizes and asks Sophia to treat his confession as just something he happened to share. Embarrassed, Kane asks if Sophia could avoid bringing this up to the others, or simply forget it entirely. Sophia lowers her gaze and gives a hesitant, quiet agreement. Kane admits he's been struggling to carry this alone, says Sophia was the only person he could talk to, and sincerely thanks her for listening. After a pause, Kane shifts the mood and asks whether there was something important Sophia wanted to discuss. Startled, Sophia hurriedly says it is nothing serious and suggests leaving it for another time. Kane accepts that answer and gently tells Sophia that if anything is troubling her, she should not keep it to herself because he will be there for her. The two part awkwardly for the night, with Sophia thanking him and both of them exchanging uneasy goodnights. That night passes beneath a quiet crescent moon over the sleeping buildings. Later, Sophia stands alone outside and quietly turns her thoughts back to Kane's words. Alone outside at night, Sophia braces herself against a tree and suddenly retches as Kane's confession overwhelms her. She reels in disbelief, realizing with choking panic that Kane truly loves her. The memory of Rin and Sophia's secret weighs on her mind, and she feels there is no way she can ever speak honestly about it. Thinking of Kane, Sophia realizes he had already chosen to bury his own feelings, and even feared that someone else might take her away. Fear grips Sophia as she imagines the fallout if Kane ever learns the truth. She concludes that she has no choice but to keep everything secret so no one discovers her relationship with Rin. The story then shifts to the trading city of Ranadome, a major transportation hub known as a town of adventurers. In that town, hopeful adventurers gather while rows of inns and equipment shops line the streets. Among them, the Adventurers Guild is packed with parties constantly searching for new quests. At the guild board, Rin spots a commission request from the Magic City of Magellan and immediately points it out. The notice explains that Magic City Magellan stands at the forefront of magical research, from ancient high magic to common spells. Seeing the destination, Rin realizes that if they go there, he might finally be able to get his hands on that magic. Rin is still shaken as he thinks about Cain loving Sophia, and he reminds himself that because he and Sophia are together, he has no choice but to keep it hidden. He clenches his fist and decides that for that reason, he has to learn that magic. The scene shifts over the city's rooftops as the plan begins to take shape. At the table, Ren proposes a quest to Magic City Magellan, and another member hesitantly says it could still be good for building camaraderie. Ren explains that they need to deal with a gate causing strange occurrences, and while the job itself does not seem difficult, he asks what everyone thinks. The others respond that they do not mind and agree, with one saying Magellan interests her as well. With a small smile, Ren accepts the decision and says their next quest is settled. He thanks them in relief, while Sophia stays quiet and watches with a subdued expression. As the group talks, one says they cannot leave yet because Margaret still needs time to calm down, while another points out that she still has not shown up. Ren figures it must be because of the full moon and quietly concludes that it is that time again. Ren explains that reaching Magellan will take several days, so they need to stock up before leaving. While walking through town, Ren suddenly feels a sharp bump at his side as a hooded child brushes past him. Sensing something is wrong, Ren turns and warns that it is dangerous, telling the child to be careful. Looking down, Ren notices that something is missing from his side. In the alley, the child checks the stolen pouch, grins, and says it was easy. Ren appears at the alley entrance before the child can escape, startling him. The child breathes sharply and freezes in panic as the pouch is suddenly snatched back from his hands. Ren calmly tells the child that stealing other people's belongings is wrong. Rin gently tells the child to buy something with the money as he places coins in the child's hand. The child looks stunned and thanks Ren with visible relief. The child suddenly runs out of the alley, while Ren watches him go without trying to stop him. As he walks away, Ren reflects that he is different from Cain, his expression firm and distant. The scene shifts to a quiet area by a walled building as Sophia waits outside alone. Sophia, looking troubled, says there is no time for just her and Ren. She admits that she wants to tell everyone about their relationship soon and have them accept it. Before the moment can continue, something crashes down from above and Sophia looks up in shock. The spell changes his condition in an unexpected way. Rin surfaces awkwardly in the water as Sophia calls out to him in alarm. Sophia urgently tells Rin to calm down and get hold of himself as he struggles in the water. Rin looks up in a daze and weakly realizes that the person in front of him is Sophia. Sophia, relieved that he seems unharmed, asks how he suddenly fell from the sky. Rin explains that he was chasing a harpy that tried to steal a package in town, but he lost control while using a floating spell. Sophia is startled by his explanation and admits she is surprised by what happened. Rin suddenly notices the situation around him and freezes in embarrassment. As the realization hits, Rin awkwardly says Sophia is not fully covered, and the atmosphere instantly turns uncomfortable. Panicking, Rin realizes this is a bath and hurriedly apologizes, saying he will leave at once. As Rin rushes off, Sophia quickly calls out for him to wait. Sophia stops him to ask whether he has spoken to Cain yet about the two of them. Sophia hesitates and says this may not be something they should talk about yet, leaving Rin unsure how to respond. Rin realizes Cain has been seriously thinking about ways to make their party more famous, which makes the situation feel even heavier. He decides it is better not to say anything that might worry Cain right now. Rin panics internally, realizing he cannot reveal that he and Sophia are together because the entire party could fall apart. Sophia quietly adds that what troubles her even more is something she still cannot easily say. Flustered, Rin thanks her and says he will talk to her properly when the time is right, then tries to leave in a rush. Before he can go, Sophia reaches out and grabs his hand to stop him. Embarrassed, Sophia shyly asks if they can stay together a little longer. Rin is stunned and protests that this is not the right place, but Sophia explains that in town she was constantly being watched and has not had time alone with him lately. The two pause together in a tense, quiet moment as their unresolved feelings rise to the surface. Rin blushes and admits that he feels the same way, while Sophia softly calls his name with visible relief. Their quiet moment is interrupted as someone approaches through the haze. Claire appears at the doorway and stares ahead in confusion, clearly noticing something unexpected. Startled by Claire's arrival, Rin panics and thinks he has to hide right away. Rin and Sophia hurriedly duck behind cover, both alarmed as they try not to be seen. Rin is thrown into panic as he realizes Claire, of all people, has seen this, and he fears it could become a disaster for the party. The two freeze in place, tense and flustered as they struggle to stay quiet. Rin desperately warns Claire not to look, while Sophia is too shaken and embarrassed to say much. Claire recoils at the strange reaction, confused and sweating as she tries to understand what is happening. Peering into the steam and confusion, Claire calls out to ask who is there. Rin panics and warns that staying there is dangerous because they will be found. He quickly casts wall of fog, raising a thick barrier to hide them. Rin decides the barrier is natural enough and urges Sophia to escape while there is still time. Claire calmly activates life detection and scans the area through the fog. Her spell immediately picks up 2 living reactions hidden inside the mist. Claire realizes there are 2 separate reactions and grows more suspicious. As Claire demands that whoever is hiding show themselves, Ren freezes in alarm and realizes they are in trouble. Claire warns that if they do not come out, she will come to them herself. Ren frantically thinks that Claire already knows there are 2 of them, and if only Sophia goes out, the lie will fall apart. He desperately searches for a way out, but without proper floating magic, he cannot even carry Sophia by himself, leaving him overwhelmed and cornered. Rin suddenly looks up at the full moon and realizes the dangerous timing with a jolt. He grimly concludes that what is happening can no longer be avoided. A violent impact erupts beside him, and the sudden shockwave leaves him stunned. As Margaret appears in a disturbed state, Rin stares in disbelief and recognizes her at once. He remembers that tonight is the full moon, the one night each month when this condition appears. Rin realizes in alarm that this is the day Margaret loses control and enters that dangerous state. He recalls that as a beastkin, Margaret becomes impossible to restrain once a month. He remembers that to avoid causing trouble for the others, Margaret usually isolates herself deep in the wilderness. Ren curses his own carelessness as he realizes he completely forgot and walked straight into the forest. The realization hits him all at once and panic flashes across his face. Margaret closes in with visible instability, recognizes Ren, and fixates on him as the moment turns deeply tense. Ren panics and realizes Margaret is in no state to listen to reason. Margaret lunges as if she is about to attack, forcing Ren to react at once. Ren casts Restrict to pin Margaret in place before she can reach him. He believes the spell should have stopped her from moving. Even while feeling guilty about doing this to a comrade, Ren steels himself and decides he has to protect Sophia no matter what. Margaret lets out a feral roar and the pressure in the air spikes. Ren is shocked that she managed to resist the restraint. He realizes beastkin possess physical strength far beyond that of ordinary humans. He reflects that a normal frontline tank in heavy armor could take enemy attacks head-on, but Margaret is an entirely different kind of threat. Margaret is described as a shield fighter who protects her allies and uses light gear to move across the battlefield with speed. The narration emphasizes that Margaret's beastkin body is powerful enough to endure even a wyvern's strike, and if she wanted, she could overpower a human with ease. In her unstable state, Margaret fixates on Rin, and the atmosphere turns deeply uncomfortable. Rin freezes in alarm as he realizes the situation is getting worse and desperately wonders how to stop it. He reaches out in a rush, thinking he has to stop things before they go any further. Rin calls out to Margaret in shock and asks if she is all right. Seeing the moon, Rin suddenly understands the cause of Margaret's condition. Panicked, Rin says no one saw this and decides he must undo the spell as quickly as possible. By the next scene, the story shifts away from the forest and returns to the city. Later, the group regathers and another member says it will take about 4 or 5 days to reach Magellan, the city of magic, before asking if everyone is ready. Rin reflects in embarrassment that he never expected something like that to happen with Margaret, and even knowing her condition, the aftermath still feels painfully awkward. Rin suddenly hears Margaret call out to him and turns in surprise. Margaret approaches while hiding behind her shield, her movements tense and hesitant. Rin stiffens as he recognizes Margaret and looks at her uncertainly. Margaret nervously peeks out and hurriedly apologizes for what happened yesterday. She awkwardly explains that her reason completely disappeared that day, and she insists she did not mean anything strange by it because it was only instinct. Rin quickly tells her he understands and says he also should not have carelessly gone into the forest. He reassures her with a gentle smile that there is no need to worry because they are still comrades. Margaret is left flushed and speechless as his response catches her off guard. Overwhelmed, Margaret smacks Ren repeatedly while loudly agreeing that they are comrades, and he endures the outburst in startled confusion. Ren awkwardly asks Margaret to keep yesterday's incident secret. Margaret quickly agrees, still embarrassed and eager to avoid the topic. Sophia suddenly asks Ren if something happened, and he hurriedly denies it in panic. Ren nervously tries to dismiss it and asks Margaret to support his story, and she answers vaguely. Rin tells himself that even though that awkward incident happened with Margaret, it does not count as betrayal because nothing serious occurred. Sophia smiles confidently, and Rin reassures himself that she is still by his side. The group arrives at Magellan, the famed city of magic. The city is introduced as a center of advanced magical research, where immense magical energy flows and countless spells can supposedly be obtained through that power. Rin reaches a certain place and remarks that this should be it, even though there seems to be no proper entrance, while noting that it involves forbidden magic. He places his hand against a strange hexagonal crest, seemingly testing it for a hidden mechanism. Rin chants a dark magic incantation, calling for darkness to overcome light and guide him to the truth. A crow swoops down with a harsh cry as Rin looks up in the ruined passage, sensing that something has answered him. The crow addresses Rin directly and asks what he seeks, treating him like a traveler who has come with a purpose. Rin identifies himself as a dark sorcerer dealing in forbidden spells that should never surface. The crow says that any kind of spell can be obtained here, and Rin insists that he desperately needs one. Rin firmly reveals that the spell he wants is Oblivion. He learns that Oblivion is a spell that erases its target's memories. The explanation continues that the spell is not advanced in structure, but it is banned because it tampers with memory and personality and could be abused. Rin says he does not want to rely on something like that and tells himself it would only be a last resort. He grimly thinks that if his relationship with Sophia is ever exposed, this may become his final option. The crow warns that stripping memories from another will not come cheap, calling the request selfish and disturbingly convenient. Rin offers a money pouch and asks if it is enough, but the crow immediately says he is far short. Rin says he will gather the reward from his next quest and somehow make up the rest. The crow suddenly senses a strange aura from Rin, grows intrigued, and reacts sharply to what it feels. A masked figure appears, says Rin is an unusually valuable specimen, and decides to waive the price instead. The figure falls silent for a moment and then tells Rin to remove his coat. As Rin reveals what he is hiding, the figure notices the pendant and calmly says that it understands. The pendant reacts violently the moment the figure touches it, and Rin recoils as the moment turns deeply unsettling. While Rin stumbles back in shock, the masked figure excitedly says this will be entertaining after all. The figure hands over the spellbook and tells Rin that this is the one he wanted. Rin nervously holds the spellbook and asks what he is even supposed to do with something like this. The masked figure says it looks forward to seeing the result of this experiment and wonders whether Rin will be purified by darkness or consumed by flames. As the bird suddenly flies off, Rin is left stunned and uneasy, clutching the item while the hidden exchange comes to an abrupt end. At Magellan, a robed guide explains that the lands around the city are warped by overflowing magical energy from the ley lines, causing rifts to other worlds to appear, and says their job is to close those gates. A member of the ruthless Durakan party scoffs that closing holes hardly sounds like much of a challenge. A member of Black Cats Under the Moon warns that last time monsters poured out of a gate too, though they were only small enough to slip through the narrow rifts. A cheerful member of the Azure Adventurers suggests everyone work together and finish the job, while Rin stands quietly beside his companion. Another adventurer confidently says there is no need for that and insists that whoever closes the most gates will be the biggest success, then pushes everyone to get moving. As tensions start to rise, one girl angrily asks what is wrong with those guys, and Ren tries to calm things down by telling her to take it easy. A gate suddenly begins to crackle open on the ground nearby, signaling that the mission is starting. Claire says this gate is hers and asks Marina to trust her, and Marina gives a quiet, uneasy acknowledgement. Claire begins a powerful ancient spell invoking several named words as magic crackles violently around the gate. The gate collapses with a heavy burst, and Claire calmly says that should take care of it. Rin is stunned as he realizes that was ancient magic, admitting it is far beyond his level. Watching in silence, Rin bitterly thinks that if only he had more power, he could protect Sophia and be more useful to everyone. As the others watch near the sealed spot, another robed woman steps forward and starts chanting over the gate's remains. The woman continues the same ancient incantation, carefully repeating the spell words. Her concentration suddenly breaks when something grabs at her from the gate, and she reacts in startled confusion. The sudden attack makes Marina scream, while Rin and the others turn in alarm toward the disturbance. A monster bursts violently out of the shattered ground, sending debris flying as the scene erupts into chaos. The creature seizes the robed woman as Marina recoils in horror and lets out a terrified scream. A fighter stares at the monster in disbelief and demands to know what that thing is. The demon lashes out violently, tearing through the area and sending multiple people flying as the ground breaks apart. Broken debris scatters through the air after the brutal impact. Two nearby men freeze in shock as one of them urgently asks what is going on. The cracked ground rumbles again, and the demon's huge body forces itself further out of the gate. As the monster opens its jaws, a swordsman charges forward with a shout while the men behind him remain tense and wary. He swings with all his strength, but the demon only absorbs the blow and does not go down. The women watch in alarm, and one realizes in dread what they are facing. The full monster towers over the burning ruins, and someone identifies it in shock as a greater demon. The greater demon glares at the group and mocks them as pitiful, lowly creatures, then declares that it will destroy them while Rin and the others recoil in fear. Rin explains that he is an enchanter, while another voice adds that Sophia is the party's healer. Someone says they have survived many close calls while staying hidden, as the party stands tense beneath the looming threat. Rin grimly admits he never expected they would face a complete wipeout like this. The monster introduces itself as Savas, the wanderer of eternal darkness, and declares that it has come to play. Realizing the truth, someone identifies it as a greater demon and warns that even an S-rank party would struggle against such a higher being, making their own chances almost non-existent. Kane steps forward with determination and says he will hold the demon off, ordering everyone else to get out of there. The others immediately object, insisting that Kane cannot possibly take the monster on alone. Kane stares ahead in shock and says he has seen that kind before on the battlefield. He reveals that the summoned greater demon once slaughtered over 300 enemy soldiers and also wiped out an entire allied battalion. Kane grimly recalls that this battlefield makes him think of his father's role somewhere in the chaos, while the others fall silent in uneasy confusion. A warning comes that the demon has not fully emerged from the gate yet, and everyone is urged to act immediately. Savas contemptuously calls them pathetic worms and threatens to wipe them out in an instant as a dangerous attack begins to form. Kane realizes the coming strike is the demon's breath attack and shouts the warning while Rin reacts in alarm. The blast erupts forward, forcing the group to brace themselves as the attack tears across the battlefield. Rin turns in shock toward Margaret as she throws herself into the danger, straining to hold the line under crushing pressure. Margaret defiantly tells the demon not to unleash that foul breath on her allies as the clash grows desperate. Margaret blocks the assault with her shield, but the force slams into her guard while the demon presses in and the impact grows harder to endure. The overwhelming hit drives Margaret backward and smashes her into the wall, leaving her shaken by the brutal impact. Rin stares in horror and calls out to Margaret as she collapses out of sight. Margaret, battered and sweating, refuses to break and taunts the demon by saying it will need far more force to bring her down. Savas coldly mocks her bravado and says she should save her strength for protecting the group after drawing the enemy's attention. The demon scorns Margaret as someone caught between beast and human, then cruelly asks why she would risk her life for people who only use her as a tool. As the ruined town burns around them, the scene shifts to a brutal memory of armed humans attacking beastkin in chaos and panic. A man is struck down in the massacre while a frightened child watches in horror, deepening the weight of the demon's accusation. Savas steps forward and flatly insists that his claim is true, pressing the emotional wound even harder. Rin fires back that Margaret is not a tool but a precious comrade, and the others stand behind him in firm support. Margaret is left stunned as Rin reaches out to everyone, but Savas immediately rejects them and begins gathering another deadly attack to erase them all at once. Margaret throws herself into the blast and unleashes a firebomb explosion at point-blank range, creating a violent impact that shields the others. The explosion hurls Margaret away with crushing force, and she cries out as she is blasted back into the wall. Margaret crashes into the wall again under the force of the attack, crying out as the impact leaves her breathing sharply and barely able to respond. Savas stands over the ruined battlefield while the others lie scattered around him, his overwhelming presence making the party's defeat feel imminent. Savas declares that he is far too strong and coldly concludes that at this rate all of them are finished. Rin curses his own weakness and desperately thinks that if only he had more power, he could still change the outcome. Seeing his fallen companions, Rin resolves that he wants to protect everyone, and especially Sophia, clinging to that wish even as the battle collapses around him. A violent thump echoes as something within Rin surges awake, signaling a sudden and unnatural change. Rin recoils in shock and realizes something is happening inside him as his chest burns with unbearable strain. He doubles over in pain while the pounding grows stronger and the pressure inside him becomes impossible to ignore. Sophia notices his distress and calls to Rin, while Savas gathers a finishing blast and declares that this will be the end. As Savas fires the attack, the force abruptly falters and the breath weakens before it can fully strike. Savas is stunned as the battle suddenly shifts, shaken by something he never saw coming. A sudden chill runs through the demon as he realizes his body has grown heavy, and both his speed and attack power drop by 3 levels. As the pressure spreads, his defense and evasion also fall by 3 levels, and Savas is left reeling at what kind of absurd debuff this is. Another party member shudders in disgust and says the feeling will not stop as her accuracy drops by 3 levels. The group realizes this sickening dread is part of Rin's power, reducing both healing and magic power by 3 levels. Savas stands there with a vicious grin, fully aware that his terrifying presence is crushing everyone around him. Claire notices something strange, then feels her hand shake and starts to realize the fear is affecting even her body. A violent thump bursts from Rin as status resistance, magic resistance, and elemental power all drop by 3 levels, leaving Savas staring at him in shock and demanding to know what he is. Rin stands wrapped in a fierce aura as the fear skill activates, and within a 30-meter radius all enemies have every resistance reduced by 3 levels. A sharp, unnatural eye glints near Rin, and the others stare in disbelief as Sophia calls out his name in shock. The demon lunges forward and roars that inferior creatures should know their place, while Rin braces himself as the attack closes in. Rin thrusts out his hand and unleashes a sudden flash of power, forcing himself to react in the middle of the demon's charge. His skill activates as life absorption takes hold, and the demon is caught off guard when Rin starts draining him directly. The drain spreads through the demon's body, and he reacts in alarm as he realizes his energy is being siphoned away. Rin urgently asks Claire if she can still move and tells her to open the gate now while the demon howls in fury. The demon rushes after them and spits out his hatred, treating them like worthless pests as he tries to stop them. Rin refuses to let him interfere and immediately triggers Evil Eye in a desperate effort to hold him back. The spell changes the demon's condition in an unexpected way. Claire, shaken but focused, cries out a spell as she prepares to act on Rin's opening. Her magic erupts in repeated blasts that slam into the demon, driving him back as they finally seize their chance. The demon lets out a final scream as Claire's attack tears through him and his body begins to break apart. Claire commands the gate to return to where it belongs, forcing the unstable portal to collapse. A violent surge swallows the gate as its power is drawn away, and the party watches the ceiling succeed. Claire stares ahead in shock and realizes they actually did it. As the aftermath settles, Rin suddenly doubles over in pain, and Sophia anxiously asks if he is okay. Rin recoils in panic and warns everyone not to come any closer. Clutching himself as his pulse pounds out of control, Rin admits he cannot control himself, leaving the others stunned by the strange power. Sophia rushes forward in alarm and demands to know what happened to Rin. Claire reaches out desperately and tells Sophia to wait. Ignoring the chaos around them, Sophia steps in front of Rin and faces him calmly while he struggles to steady his breathing. Sophia gently tells him not to worry, trying to calm him as she stays close. She promises that she will keep healing him no matter how many times it takes. Hearing Sophia's words, Rin is left shaken as his heart pounds in response. As the danger passes, Sophia supports Rin's unsteady body while he leans against her and struggles to stay upright. Later, in a quiet room, Sophia sits beside Rin and watches over him as he rests. Margaret appears at the doorway and asks Sophia how Rin is doing. Sophia tells Margaret that Rin's condition is stable now and urges her not to worry. Sophia then reminds Margaret that she should be resting, too, since she shielded them outside and suffered the worst of it. Margaret brushes it off and says protecting her comrades is simply what she does, then points out that Sophia has not slept either and should take a break. From the room, Rin agrees and reflects that he thought everything was over this time, but thanks to everyone's strength, the Azure adventurers managed to pull through. Sophia shyly declares that she will fulfill her role as Rin's healer in the name of the Earth Goddess Diana. As Sophia sits quietly, Margaret notices her uneasy expression, while a sacred staff beside a robed figure hints at a troubling memory surfacing in her mind. In Margaret's memory, armed fighters advance through a burning settlement as frightened footsteps retreat, and the chaos of the attack spreads everywhere. A beast woman is condemned as something less than human, and the attackers are ordered to wipe them out as filthy abominations. In the middle of the slaughter, Margaret's father turns back and urgently tells her to run. Before he can escape, he is struck down by the charging soldiers, plunging the scene into sudden horror. Margaret stares in shock as a priest-like figure appears with a staff, and she cries out for her father in despair. The robed elder denounces the beastmen as heretics who defile the earth goddess Diana's land, and orders his forces to exterminate every last one of them. Returning to the present, Margaret forces a smile and insists that nothing is wrong, while inwardly vowing that she is still moving forward, now and always. Elsewhere, Claire quietly reads while another figure stands alone at night, suggesting a separate thread of tension beginning to unfold. As a quiet title notes that 280 days remain until the party's collapse, Sophia stays by Rin's bedside and gently holds his hand while watching over his recovery.